Look at this beautiful road, man. Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is regarding the review of Pulsar n250. So here is my beautiful motorcycle in all black color, and I named this motorcycle as Bulbul. Why Bulbul? Because it is all black in color and it sounds melodious, man. And till now I have driven this bike 4877 kilometers, and this video will be divided into three parts. The first part will be that why I bought, small flies are coming and sitting on my camera. Go. First part will be dedicated to why I bought n250. Second part will be dedicated towards the negative of this bike, and third part will be dedicated toward the positive of this bike. First question is why I bought Pulsar n250, है ना? I will be dividing this question further into two parts. First part, the answer to this question, first part will be my driving style, and second part will be budget. I am a person of early 30s and I used to drive bike very slow. I do not rev hard. I rarely take my bike beyond 70s, and I am a type of person who gives priority to refinement more than power, and this bike is one hell of a refined bike. And at those speed, it means we are not talking about high RPMs. At lower RPM, this bike performs pretty well. Now let's take a look at all the quarter liter bike which we are having apart from n250. Basically we are having KTM and Suzuki bikes. So we talk about KTM now. So as I mentioned, I do not over rev my bike. I do not drive my bike at higher RPMs. And the true nature of KTM, it comes into life only at higher RPM. As well as KTM was out of budget. And third reason for not going toward KTM is the vibration which comes with KTM. Now come to the Suzuki. The bikes which Suzuki are offering now, those bikes are highly refined bike. But then also I had not bought those bikes. Reason being, look, Suzuki is having wide network of dealership, but not all the dealership are allowed to do the servicing of 250cc bikes. As well as on YouTube now, whatever the feedback which I have gained after watching YouTube videos, the feedback is many of the people, they are not satisfied with the servicing provided at the dealership. And the last part of not going towards Suzuki is if you compare two situations, like you are having Bajaj bike and you are having Suzuki bike. So Bajaj will always defeat Suzuki in terms of spare parts availability. Now comes the second reason of going toward Pulsar n250. The second reason is budget, and it is the most important reason. If I'm giving you 1.8 lakh rupees and I'm asking you, go buy that bike which is most powerful in this budget and most refined in this budget, then the only option is n250 or f250. My budget was strictly limited to 1.9 lakh or max to max 2 lakh rupees. So in that budget, I own most refined and most powerful bike. Just walking on this road and talking to you people, so enjoy the view also. The second point. Now we come to our second point. Second point is negatives of this bike. Although it is a long list, so we shall start with cold start of this bike during winters. When peak winters was there, na, so let us say you are starting this bike early in the morning 10 times. Out of 10 times, 7 times bike will start in single click, in single self. But in 3 times, have to press this ignition button like 2 times or 3 times. And when bike misses self, time which is there coming in clock, na, here, the time changes. So in a month like this used to happen like 3 times or 4 times, not very frequently. The negative which I'm about to tell you, I don't know why these small bees are coming and circulating around me. Another issue was earlier, it was like one hell of a major issue to me, but now I learned to live with that issue. The issue is related to an additional sound which is coming from the bike when the engine of bike is fully heated. And from where that sound is coming? Not exactly from the engine, but from the belly part of the engine, from this section beneath the silencer. I exactly do not know the number of kilometers, but Bajaj is saying you do the service of a bike timely and your bike will remain in warranty up to term period of 5 years. And man, 5 years is a big time period. So up to 5 years, I don't have to worry at all. If anything is happening to this bike, company is going to change it free of cost. Now let's move on to another negative. You're looking at this headlight. There is a knob. I think, yeah, it is too bright for me to see. Here one knob is there. If you rotate that knob, then it adjusts the focus of headlight. Now, no matter in which RPM I'm driving my bike, at what speed I'm driving my bike, that knob is making jhar sound always. Now, whatever the negative aspect which I've told you till now, they were the negative of this bike being observed by an owner, by me. Now 3 more negatives of this bike are there, and the whole goddamn YouTube is filled with these negative. All the YouTubers, they are shouting that this is the negative of this bike, but in reality, being an owner, how practical those negatives are, let's discuss about it. Now you have to observe the speed with which this RPM needle is moving. This speed, there is a lag in the movement of this needle. Its movement is not crisply connected with the movement of accelerator. People are saying that it is a drawback, but in reality, while cruising, while driving, how many times just to check the movement of this needle you are revving? None of the time. The purpose of this RPM meter is to give you the information while driving that what are the RPMs of the bike, and that information it shows in absolutely correct manner. Now another drawback which YouTubers are saying is a drawback, is the tire size. Look, it is a 250cc bike, and the size of tire, it does not match with the masculine build of a 250cc bike. According to me, if this bike would be having a thicker tire profile, then it would match the build of this bike, and I would have opted that thick tire profile bike just because of the look. Now the people are saying this bike is having a smaller tire profile. Yes, it is a negative, but if I let you drive this bike, and if I let you drive any other 250cc bike with a thicker tire profile without disclosing which bike is which, you will be unable to differentiate between this bike and that bike. The tire size, thinner, slimmer tire profile size does not hamper the handling of this bike, and man, I have taken this bike to hills. I had done serious cornering with this bike, and let me tell you, for the time period of 3 years I was posted in hills, I know how to deal with the corner, and it take on all the corner, no matter how sharp the corner is, in very fantastic and beautiful manner. Now the last drawback is related to the technology which Bajaj has used to cool down the engine. This bike is having traditional way of cooling the engine, traditional way of heat management, and that is air and oil cooled. Now again, the people are saying, Bole, this bike is having older technology to cool the engine, so it is not a good bike. Yeah, when any company is launching bike, so the R&D done by the company for heat management, you should trust that R&D done by any company. Man, the first positive of this bike, जिसका मैं आज की डेट में भी फ़ैन हूँ, बाइक की ओनरशिप को लगभग 10 महीने से ऊपर हो गया यार, और आज की डेट में भी मैं उस चीज़ का फ़ैन हूँ, वो पॉजिटिव फैक्टर है refinement of this bike. Man, you will get confused that are you driving a Suzuki bike? Are you driving a Honda bike? But then you will realize that this is not Honda, this is not Suzuki, this is made in India Bajaj bike. The refinement levels are so damn good. No matter at what RPM you are cruising this bike, there are zero vibration on the handlebar, zero vibration on tank, mirrors are quite stable, they are not shaking, zero vibration on foot peg. So the advantage of having a vibe free bike is that For example, you are cruising at 70, but it will feel like that you are cruising at 50 until and unless you are looking at speedometer. Now the second positive is that as compared to Pulsar NS200, this bikes the torque of this bikes kicks in at lower RPM. Now what is the advantage which you will be having in real life? Power delivery of this bike starts from lower RPM. This is the first advantage. Second advantage is that you don't have to shift too many gears. At any given speed, this bike can be driven at any given gear. So let's move on to the next positive aspect of this bike, and that positive aspect is associated with the suspension setup. The suspension of this bike are pretty soft. They absorb most of the potholes, most of the undulations of the road. And if you compare the softness of the front and rear suspension, then front suspension, they are bit harder, not too harder as compared to the rear suspension. And another thing associated with the front suspension I would like to share, many people, they used to think that if bike is having softer suspension, that it compromises the handling capability of bike, cornering capability of the bike. It is not the case with this bike. As I said earlier, I had taken all types of corner with this bike, but this soft suspension is not hampering the cornering or handling capability. Go off. Handling capability of this bike. Again, if you compare the handling of this bike and handling of Pulsar NS200, then you will feel that handle of NS200 is bit heavy to move around. But handle of this bike is very free, very agile. It is very easy to maneuver this bike in city as compared to Pulsar NS200. And last but not the least, the sound of this bike. It sound amazing. The bass of the sound, na, देखो bike मेरे पास अभी है. I can start ignition, rev up my bike and let you people listen the sound of this bike, but you cannot get that true feeling over a mobile phone. If you're planning to buy this bike, go to showroom, rev up the bike in reality and listen to the sound. It sounds really amazing, yaar. One more drawback I missed, and that drawback is dedicated to the lighting setup of this bike. Bhai, it lights up amazing at the night time. For example, I think there is no bike available in the market under the price tag of 1.8 lakh rupees which illuminates the road at the night time like this bike does. So I hope I might have cleared out many doubts through this video which are there in your mind regarding the purchase decision of this bike. So that's it for today. See you in the next vlog. So people, I am back at my home and I forgot to record one thing. That thing is that this bike is having only 5 gears as compared to 6 gear of NS200. But believe me, this bike only have 5 gear, na? It does not create any problem while driving. It is all gimmick, and 5 gears are more than enough for this bike. Company has changed the gear ratio in this bike, na? So 5 gear are more than enough.